In this video, we're going to show you some of the basic setup required to get the ColorPiano RGB driver working. So when you open up the package, you may have noticed that the pins on the RGB tape right here, there's not an easy way to get that to fit to the output of this RGB driver. The reason why we have the screw terminals like this is to give you a generic output, just in case you decide to buy your own tape or from some other manufacturer. They may not always have these pins. So we do require you to do a little bit of assembly where you have to cut off these wires and wire them manually into the screw terminal. So ultimately, you're going to end up with this kind of configuration where your wires are going to be connected to the screw terminal and plugged into the output end of the RGB driver. So I'm going to just demonstrate quickly how to actually do that. So what you're going to do is cut right here. You can choose either end. That'll be the same. So you're going to cut the 4 wires here and then expose the wires and then screw it into the screw terminal. And you can see here on the RGB driver, there are 4 letters here that indicates green, red, blue, and V+. So here you have green, red, blue, and white. White will be your V+. Some of the order of the tape might be white and then green, red, blue, so you may have to bring the white cable over to this side, and then you screw this into the screw terminal here. Okay, so we're going to connect it this way. Okay, so once you're done connecting the wires to the screw terminal, you can then plug it into the RGB driver. The remaining thing you need to do is then hook up these 2 wires from the trigger to the adapter. It's going to look like this, where you have 1 wire going into the D+, which is the leftmost side of the screw terminal, and 1 wire going into common, which is the rightmost side. The colors don't matter in this case, as long as you have it on the leftmost and the rightmost screw terminals. And to get this set up, now you would need to connect power to this side and the signal to this side. Okay, so I have power connected here, and then this side I have the phone cable connected directly to the fixture, and I should be able to. Okay, so now you connect the power and the signal. The signal goes right into the phone here, and then by pressing the various buttons you can get the LED to output. One important thing to note is if your output is not working right here, check to make sure that your slave and master is selected correctly. You want it to be selected to master if you're sending a signal into the RGB driver. If it's slave, what that means is it's going to take the input from a previous string of tape as the output, what's coming out this end. It's essentially going to turn this RGB driver into a repeater instead of a driver. So just make sure that the slave master switch is selected to the right side so that it is going to be driving the tape. And finally, I'm going to show you how to connect the trigger. So let's say we go into trigger mode and I make a sequence of black, white, stop, okay? And then you take this set of wires and you hook it up to the programmer, the trigger output, the trigger input, and when you press this, it should do your black, white sequence. And then when it's done, it goes back to the ambient show. So here it is again.